Man, making progress feels so good. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew. And today we are talking about a little upcoming project that involves the Read My Shelf Challenge. But before we get into that, please do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And you can check the description box down below for links to all of my social media, including information about my Patreon, Discord, Pango, books, Amazon wishlist, what have you. It's all right there. And that out of the way, let's talk about what this video is. So at the beginning of 2024, I embarked on the Read Your Shelf Challenge because I had 370 unread books on my shelf. And that's a bit concerning because that means I have such a large backlog that I'm not going to be able to get to new releases or new series that catch my interest in a reasonable amount of time. So I embarked on a project to take those 370 books and focus on those for probably 1 to 2 years. Now, I said I started at 370. I just did a recount, and by the end of May, that will be down to about 305. That's due to unhauls, DNFs, stuff I've lost interest in. I've listed a lot of that on my Pango books, which most of that, thankfully, you guys have purchased, which could then be put back into more book hauls and stuff like that, because I'm insane. But I've been buying up a lot of series that I didn't own, but I had already read and loved, and so those have been making their ways into the shelves now to kind of, cultivate my collection, to be a better reflection of me, of like, hey, this is what I love, not this is what I haven't read. So that's what I've been kind of trying to embrace. I'm also trying to get away from like hyper consumerism in the book community. It's just like buy special editions, buy all this. Like, I want to buy stuff that I love or stuff that I'm currently reading. And so that's why, like, I think I've only got like 2 books, 2 series actually, I think, in this entire collection that I own multiple copies of. And that would be Lord of the Rings, which is on top. I've got a separated out edition of Lord of the Rings that includes The Hobbit. That's the only edition of The Hobbit that I own. And then I've got a collected illustrated edition done by Tolkien. And I think I own... Do I own? I don't know. I don't know if I own something else that is a duplicate. I probably own one other book that's a duplicate, but I can't think of... Oh, it's Elantris. There we go. It's Elantris. I own 2 copies of Elantris because I've got a signed standard hardcover, and I've got the Dragonsteel unsigned. So those are the only 2 that I have duplicates of. But anyway, I've gotten off topic. So what the point of this project that is going to be happening in sometime in around June, I think, is I'm going to try 10 series that I have on my shelf that I'm slightly dubious on. And so I'm going to tell you what those 10 series are, why I'm kind of dubious on them, and yeah, let's just kind of jump right on in. Basically, the whole thought process is this makes up around 40 books of my unread, and just between these 10 series. It's around 40 books. And so if I don't like these and I end up unhauling them, that brings me a lot closer. My goal by the end of 2024 is to have 250 unread books. I would have moved by 120. So if I can even tank out a third of that almost just through this June project, that would be great. Now, I'm not planning on DNFing these, but it could happen. We've got Mythago Wood by Robert Holdstock. Now, I know my patron and friend Owen Edwards really enjoys this series. That's why it's on my shelf. That said, it sounds a bit weird. It's like a little bit of a portal fantasy, if I understand correctly. And from what I've heard, this is a love it or hate it style of fantasy. So I think I will know rather quickly if this one is for me or not. But the physical books themselves are gorgeous. So gorgeous. And I think these editions are out of print, though. So I don't know. Then we've got For the Killing of Kings by Howard Andrew Jones, and this is on my shelf, A, because Nico sent them to me, and they were recommended to me by Nico. He said he really loved the first book, but the last 2 books went in a direction, like he wanted it to go in a different direction, and he didn't. Now, I know Nico does enjoy these books, and Nico's recommendations always come with, like, I respect his opinion. I don't know how I was going to finish that sentence, but basically, they carry weight. That's what I'm trying to say, is Nico, I trust Nico with his recommendations. He's rarely steered me wrong. And so, this is on there. I'm dubious about it, which is why I kind of haven't gotten around to it. He really wants me to read the Hanavar, but that's like in July. I'm planning on reading Hanavar just so that, I can appease the Nico of Nico's book reviews. But yeah, we've got For Killing of Kings. Then we've got Kate Elliott. Now, the cover immediately tells me that this is something that, I don't know, might be a little bit more romance heavy. It's just got that lighter tone, but it's also got like gears and steampunk. I've also DNF'd Kate Elliott before. I believe she did King's Dragon in that series, Prince of Dogs. I forget the name of the series right now. Not because the writing was bad. I actually think Kate Elliott is a great writer. There was just subject matter in there that I wasn't quite comfortable with. And so that's why I'm kind of on my guard for Cold Magic. I do have the whole trilogy. So we'll try the first book, see what happens. Then this one. I've heard a lot of great things about this series. I don't know what it's called, but I always struggle whenever you don't put the name of the series on the outside of the book. Like, it's just, ugh. But if I do end up liking it, I'm going to unhaul these and get the UK editions because I hate this cover. I hate this cover. It's so bad. This is Blood of the Exile by Brian Naslund. And while I've heard people say, oh, I love it, I never heard anybody talk about it. So let me know in the comments. Have you read this one? What have you heard? But I'm kind of dubious on it, A, because I've not heard anybody talk about it other than to say, yeah, it was good. But then it's never listed among anything that's like particularly like high on people's lists. And also, I just hate the covers. So that's why it's on the list. Then we've got Megan O'Keefe's Velocity Weapon. I actually do think I am going to like this one. But I've also seen it kind of rated kind of in the middle. And so I don't know how I'm going to feel about the Protectorate. I have unhauled one Megan O'Keefe and DNF. That was Steal the Sky. That just kind of wasn't my thing. So hopefully this one works for me a little bit better. And then we've got these three series that I am reading. This is basically a June TBR. But I'm explaining why it's all just brand new stuff. Because I'm going to be very harsh on it. We've got Black Sun Rising by C.S. Friedman. Now, this one I've heard good things about. It's just one that I've had on my shelf and on my TBR for probably 2 years, and I've just never made the time to get around to it. I do have the first one on audiobook, so that might be one that a good quick way to get to it. But yeah, I've heard people talk about it, and I've heard that people love it. I think Andrew Watson likes this one. I could be mistaking him for somebody else. But, yeah. No, C.S. Friedman. I like the Michael Whalen covers. So that's why that's on the list. Is just it's been 2 years. And then Rune Lords. It's been 15 years that I've been meaning to read the first Rune Lords book. And I haven't done it. I know Nico really enjoys this one. And that's why I need to get to this one. I've got all 7 that are currently out. David Farland, the author, passed away about 70% through the last book. It has a pre-order available for the last book, so I don't know when that's going to drop, just because I've heard that the pre-order date is just a placeholder. But we've got this one. If I like this one, I'll upgrade these to hardcovers. But it's on the list. I bought that as a teenager. Not the specific one, but I've been meaning to read. I had a copy as a teenager, and I just never read it.
Okay, so I am filming a cut-in because basically I had all 10 books over here on a sideboard. I got excited, and I decided to start reading them, and 3 of them got immediately DNF'd and unhauled, and so basically I needed to kind of fill those spots for this project that was supposed to be in June, and I started too early. Anyway, poor impulse control. So, I've got 3 other replacements that I'm just kind of, now I'm going to slot into this project. We have got Nicholas Raven and the Wizard's Web by Thomas J. Prestopnik. Prestopnik. And essentially this is one book, kind of like Lord of the Rings, split into 3 parts. And I've had it on my shelf for forever, and I've been just so curious to try it. So I'm going to include this one. It is supposed to be more towards the YA side. That's fine. I'm not worried about that, but it says an epic fantasy in 3 volumes. And frankly, I feel like if I don't try it now, I'm never going to get around to it. Then I've got The Obsidian Tower by Melissa Caruso. My buddy Nico recently tried the first chapter, didn't really like it. I'm hoping to give this more than a single chapter because the back of the book sounds so incredibly cool, but I've never read any Melissa Caruso, and so I don't know if it's going to quite work for me. So that's kind of why I've got this on here. And then, of course, we've got Mark T. Barnes' The Garden of Stones. And basically, I got this based off of the cover art because when I was reading LPQ, I found out that this artist also did this series. And then it sounded kind of interesting. It's a little bit more of a political fantasy. At the time, I was really like, LPQ, political fantasy, sounds really good, slow, nuanced, stuff like that. Character studies. And this one sounds like, the following of a millennia-old dynasty. It's been on my shelf now for, I think, going on 2 years. I know I was in my old house when I bought these, and I've just never once reached for them. So I need to know if this is going to be kind of up my alley. I can listen to this one on audio because it's available on Everand, which used to be Scribd. And I want to know if this is kind of something that I'm going to enjoy. If not, I probably just need to pass it on to somebody who will enjoy it. But these are the ones that I am adding to this list.
But those are the books that I am planning to read as a project in June. There may be a fair few DNFs in this list, which would free up a lot of space on my unread TBR, and it would free up some shelf space for me to even buy more books. Despite the fact that I just criticized consumerism, there's still a whole bunch of books that I've read that I love that I don't physically own, and I would love to have those on my shelf. But that's all I really got for you today, guys. So let me know what I can expect from these 10 series. Do you think I'll like them? Do you think I'm more than likely to DNF them? Please let me know in your opinions in the comment section down below. But that's all I've really got for you today, guys. So till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby.